right, he backs up, he fires 2 balls. Got it again! He's way too good! Drilled it!
7 straight points by Iverson.
This is Allen Iverson, and he is known to be one of the shiftiest basketball players to ever have the opportunity to grace a basketball court. But a lot of people don't know that AI was just as, if not more, shifty on the football field. Along with being a top 10 recruit in the country, football was his favorite sport, and many people believe that if he pursued football, he could have ended up as one of the greats. So what if Allen Iverson decided to quit basketball and pursue college football? Well, we're about to find that out today, as we follow Iverson on his road to glory. And immediately Allen is dealing with some problems. He was involved in a brawl, but a judge tried to lock him up for 15 years because of it. Luckily for him, the case would get dismissed, so he would only end up doing 4 months, but he lost a ton of opportunities to start at major Power 5 schools. Although, there was one school, Maryland, that not only was close to home, but would allow him to be the starting quarterback out the gate. So when it came to AI's college decision, he decided to sign with Maryland. As soon as Allen gets to college, they tell him that they don't have number 10, so he switches to number 3. When he's getting to know his teammates, he realizes that a lot of the ones he'll be working closely with aren't really that good. So he didn't take practice too seriously and used it as a time to help his other teammates get better, while also working hard to get better in his own time, so that by the time his first game came around, he and the Maryland Terps would be ready to take on the UConn Huskies. To start his college career off, Allen realizes very early that he might be in trouble quite often with this offensive line, so he'll have to resort to quick passes quite often to get downfield. Unfortunately, this opening drive would stall out as they would come up with an incompletion right here. But on the next drive out, Allen was looking to make a play, and he was about ready to show what kind of athlete he really was. He finds a way to run around the pocket here and actually escapes around the edge and gets down the sideline for a huge gain, putting Maryland back in field goal range. But that offensive line was back to being terrible, and AI was sacked on 3rd down. Towards the end of the half, Allen was coming up with some big throws to lead his team downfield, especially this one on 3rd down with 12 seconds left, where Allen drops back, reads the field, and is able to find a guy to the right side, where he connects with the open man, picking up a big first down and another field goal right before half. After halftime, though, you start to see more of AI's struggles, because he throws the first interception of his college football career on this play, and it ends up being taken all the way back to the crib for a touchdown. But you see, Allen wasn't about to go out like that. And now, since his team was down by 1, he decided to take a shot. And his receiver comes up with a huge catch in plus territory. Another failed attempt on 3rd down resulted in another 3 points though. And now Maryland would have to get more than 3 after Allen throws another interception, returned for another pick 6, pushing UConn's lead to 5. In the 4th quarter though, Allen started to make things happen. He was finding men all over the field, picking up multiple first downs, eventually leading his team down by the goal line, where AI had taken the chance to run it in for a touchdown himself, and he almost gets in there but fumbles the ball, and luckily his teammate picks it up for a touchdown, giving Maryland a very lucky lead in this game. After getting the 2-point conversion, it was now up to UConn's offense to put up their first points, but they didn't, and on 2nd down they left the man wide open to allow Allen Iverson to throw his first touchdown of his college football career to put this home opener away. Maryland would go on to win this game 27-14, where Allen had a pretty solid game, 350 passing yards, but too many turnovers. And after the game, Allen was getting a lot of crap for his performance online. And at first he just ignored it, but then the media chimed in. They were over here talking about if Allen thinks he could work harder at practice, and that did not make Allen happy.
I know I'm supposed to be there. I know I'm supposed to lead by example. We're talking about practice, man. Not a game. We're talking about practice. I mean, how silly is that, man? We're talking about practice.
Allen didn't need no damn practice to play great football, and he was about ready to show that going into his next game against Michigan State. Once Maryland got the ball in this game, Allen immediately took a shot, and it would eventually land in the hands of a receiver for a 54-yard gain. Still, this offensive line was shittier than an unclogged toilet as they let Iverson get sacked on 3rd down. Maryland continued to struggle throughout the first half on 3rd down, failing to make their way downfield on multiple drives. Maryland would finally start getting things going in the second half, because Allen would take a deep shot down the right side of the field, and it ends up being caught in the end zone for a touchdown, bringing this game back to a 7-point deficit. And on the very first play of the next drive, Allen decides to take another shot to the left side of the field. And this one is also caught, as a receiver hauls it in and takes it all the way into the end zone for a touchdown to tie this game up. Now in the fourth quarter, Allen is trying to make something happen even though he's constantly facing pressure. They go back to their ways of getting stopped on third down, but Michigan State had left them 2 minutes to score a touchdown. And AI was starting to use his legs to move his team downfield. On this play, he tries rushing for a first down, but he fumbles, luckily to be picked up by his own teammate. Now on third down with around 30 seconds left, Allen finds a guy up the seam to put them in the red zone. Then on second down, he just drops back to pass, finds a guy open to the right side of the field, who brings it into the end zone for a touchdown to take the lead back in this game with under 20 seconds left. Michigan State could not get it done, and Maryland would go on to win 24-23, while Allen had over 300 yards passing and 3 touchdowns. And although he did have a good game, Allen was really focused on getting better. He even spent time with the coaches getting extra work in, because he was going into his next game with something to prove against his hometown team. They had revoked his scholarship once they found out he was in legal trouble, so now Allen Iverson was ready to have a big day against Virginia. To start this game off, Maryland was backed up on their own goal line, but AI was using his legs to get the team downfield, continuously picking up first downs when they needed it most. He was also making plays with his arm, rolling out to his left and hitting a guy wide open who picks up another big first down. On multiple third downs on this drive, Allen Iverson had been the guy to make the play to keep the chains moving. And that would be no different here on third down and 10, where he rolls out to his right and scampers into the end zone for a wide open touchdown. AI was nowhere near finished yet though, because he would continue to get down the field using his legs, picking up huge chunks of yardage on the ground. And eventually it felt like he single-handedly brought this team all the way down the field and inside goal-to-goal territory, where on another third down, he threw it to his running back, who walks his way into the end zone for another touchdown on the game. And by the end of the first half, Allen Iverson was out there doing insane stuff, rolling out to his right and making this crazy throw across body that ends up being complete for a big pickup. And this is one of those plays where Allen had to make sure he wasn't dreaming or something, because that was pretty crazy. When they got down to the goal line, he handed it off to the running back, who punched it in for a touchdown. In the second half, Iverson continued to put on a show and proved to Virginia why they should have kept his scholarship offer on the table. He was passing the ball and running the ball all over the field, eventually rushing for his final touchdown of the game late in the third quarter, putting this game away for good. Maryland would go on to win 35-7, while Allen Iverson had a great game going for over 150 yards passing, 4 total touchdowns, and 124 yards on the ground. This was the kind of performance that he hoped could get him into the Heisman race, but he knows he still has a lot of work to do. But in other good news, Allen Iverson got his first NIL deal. There was a barbershop who wanted him to come and do a commercial, and Allen always wanted to do a commercial, so he took that deal.
Nobody can see how quick my hands get.
Pants? We talking about pants? Not the game, but pants? How silly is that? Oh man, take this cape off me. Man, I'm out of here. We talking about pants?
You can't be serious getting a haircut with a hat on.
Now going into the next game, Allen was just looking to keep up the good work, as Maryland was set to face off against FCS East. Now it started to seem clear very early on that this game might not be very competitive. Allen Iverson and Maryland were balling better than they have all season, going in for 2 touchdowns within the first quarter. AI was out there throwing bombs to his receivers, and sometimes they would come down with it. Other times he would just find an open lane and run the ball into the end zone himself for a touchdown. By the end of the first half, they had a 28-point lead after AI throws this dime, and his receiver takes it into the end zone for another touchdown. And in the second half, all it took was one more scramble by AI, where he runs around the edge and gets into the end zone for another touchdown to eventually put this game away 35-0. While Allen Iverson went on to have 372 passing yards and 5 touchdowns, not to mention a little over 100 yards rushing. Now, Allen Iverson wasn't really known to be a selfish guy, so when he was asked who's the credit for the team's success, he actually said the coaches, because they were the ones who allowed him the opportunity to be here. On top of that, Allen had actually gone on to win Big Ten Player of the Week, and he knew he had to continue this kind of play, especially now that they were the 23rd ranked team in the country, and they were ready to face off against the Big Ten rival, Indiana. Luckily for Maryland, they were starting out this game with great field position, and on their first play of the game on 1st and goal, Allen Iverson just scrambles his way up the middle into the end zone for the first touchdown of the game. And that was a great play to get things started. But Allen had some more big plays to make. He ends up throwing a beautiful ball to his receiver, who catches it in the end zone for another touchdown, extending this lead to 14. And in the second quarter, he noticed that the pocket was collapsing, so he rolls out right and goes on to throw an absolute dime that is eventually caught by his receiver deep downfield, and is easily one of the better plays of Allen Iverson's season so far. He was not perfect though, and clearly neither was this offensive line, as they let up another sack. But after kicking the field goal, they get the ball right back in plus territory. And Allen on this play decides to scramble out. He sees the defender in front of him, so he says, "Hey, how you doing over there, excuse me?" and picked up a big first down. Allen Iverson is barely fast enough to be able to run out the defenders and get around the edge to the end zone for another touchdown. And after this drive in the third quarter where Allen would continue to make crazy throws to get his team downfield, he would get it out to a receiver who would eventually find a way to bring it into the end zone for another touchdown, and that was already good enough to help put this game away, as Maryland would go on to beat the brakes off of Indiana 41-10. All while Allen Iverson had over 200 passing yards, 81% completion percentage, and 5 touchdowns. Allen Iverson's fame was growing larger and larger each week. So much so that he actually got an interview with Stephen A. Smith.
Let me read a quote. This is what Mr. Allen Iverson had to say. I'm going to read this quote for you, all right? I didn't want to do it in front of the camera, but I wanted to take him in the back and kiss him on the mouth. What's up with that, Iverson?
Hey, look, I mean, don't get it twisted.
Coming from a small town in Virginia, it meant a lot to AI that he was starting to make himself a pretty big deal in football. And he was really looking forward to ascending into something greater, starting with his next game against Northwestern. Maryland had started this game off great, with Allen Iverson barely finding a way to scramble downfield for a big first down. Then he comes out on third down and throws it to an open man across the middle, and he takes it upfield around the edge all the way into the red zone. Unfortunately though, AI would get sacked on fourth down at the 1. So on their next possession in the second quarter, Maryland knew that somebody had to make a play, and their running back seemed to be the guy who wanted to make one. Allen handed him the ball off on second down in the red zone, and he fought all the way into the end zone for a touchdown for the first points of the game. Late in the second quarter, he was actually looking to score again, but a Maryland offensive lineman got called for holding, and that would play a crucial part in this drive eventually stalling out. Maryland had only managed to put up 3 more points up until the fourth quarter, and you can see why right here. It wasn't until late in the fourth quarter where they had a chance to put the game away, where they had finally found their way back into the end zone for another touchdown to extend the lead to 2 possessions. And now with under a minute left since Northwestern was still using their timeouts, Allen Iverson decided to take this ball himself, where he got around the edge and all the way down the sideline, then fought his way into the end zone for another touchdown to put this game away. Maryland would go on to win this game 28-7, in a game where Allen Iverson threw for over 300 yards and scored 2 touchdowns. But that wasn't enough to get him in the Heisman race quite yet, so he knew he was going to have to really focus up and lock in, because Maryland had a game coming up this week against another Big Ten opponent, as they were set to face off against USC. To start this game off, Allen Iverson was finding tons of room around the edge and down the sideline to help bring his team all the way down by the goal line. But after multiple sacks, the drive stalls out and they settle for 3. Once they get the ball back though, AI has good enough protection to deliver this ball, and the receiver makes the completion up the middle before going into the end zone for the first touchdown of the game. Things wouldn't be that easy for Maryland though, as Allen Iverson would continue to get sacked and fail to convert on third downs. But now in the third quarter, down by 4, Allen Iverson decides to take a shot, and the ball was placed perfectly in the hands of his receiver who caught it down in the goal line. And he rewards his receiver by hooking up with him on the slant, where he goes into the end zone for another touchdown to extend this lead. In the fourth quarter, now backed up on their own 5, AI figures the best way to dig them out of this hole is by giving his receiver a chance. And he definitely makes the most of it as he comes up with this catch. And he's racing his way all the way into the end zone for a touchdown to extend this lead to 10. Now with the ball again, they're trying to put the game away, but Allen is sacked. He fumbles the ball and USC recovers, giving them life again. Now only up by 7, AI is looking to score. And I think USC thought that they were going to run the ball because they leave everybody wide open, and Maryland's able to connect for the easy touchdown to help put the lead back up. And I think USC just didn't learn their lesson because they found themselves in the same position again and let up another touchdown to effectively end this game. Maryland would go on to win 38-31, and Allen Iverson would have 343 yards and 5 touchdowns. In passing-wise, this definitely looked like the best game of his career. He needed to keep getting better though to apply pressure on those Heisman voters. Not to mention the best way to guarantee a playoff spot was to stay undefeated. So he was looking to have a big game against his next opponent, Minnesota. Starting this game off on third down, Maryland is getting stopped. And in the blink of an eye, they were down by 10. So with time ticking away in the second quarter, he throws his ball up to the left side, and the receiver comes down with a big catch down by the red zone. Definitely swinging the momentum towards Maryland, which seems evident as they go in for their first touchdown of the game. With the half coming to a close, Maryland would find themselves still down by 10. But Allen Iverson was able to make some big plays in the open field. And actually, with the help of this unnecessary roughness penalty, that set up Allen Iverson for this play where he dropped back to pass and chucked the ball deep downfield where his receiver caught it in the end zone for a touchdown to bring this deficit back to 3. But when the second half rolled around, it looked like Minnesota was trying to pull away. So Maryland's running back did their part in trying to avoid that by getting his team deep into plus territory. And right when Maryland was on the verge of getting back in this game, Allen Iverson throws a pick that's returned for some decent yardage and eventually is forced out of bounds. Thankfully, the defense was starting to play well. And just as thankfully, AI finds a guy wide open downfield who brings his ball all the way into the end zone on third down. And with the defense giving them yet another chance, Iverson tries to take advantage of it by making the circus throw. That's caught by a running back and is brought all the way into Minnesota territory. And on second down, Allen Iverson takes his read option and finds his way into the end zone for a touchdown to take the lead for the first time in this game. But the lead did not last long because Minnesota went down and scored a field goal, and it's looking like Minnesota's lead won't last long either, as Allen Iverson connects with his receiver for another touchdown to give Maryland the lead right back. And after Minnesota fails to get any points, Maryland would escape this game with a victory 35-30, while Allen Iverson had over 400 passing yards and 5 touchdowns. It seemed like that was a good enough performance to get him in the best quarterback convo. But on top of that, AI got another NIL deal to do another commercial.
Nice form, boss. Hadouken?
The answer. That's the answer you seek.
But now going into the home stretch of the schedule, Maryland is about to face off against their hardest opponents, starting with their next one against the Oregon Ducks. To start this game off, Allen Iverson was back to running the ball all over defenses, as he takes his ball down the field into the opposing team's red zone, and pretty easily got a touchdown a couple plays later as he scrambled up the middle for another rushing touchdown on his season. Now Oregon comes in as the number 9th ranked team in the country, but Allen Iverson doesn't really seem to give a damn, as he throws a beautiful ball on the run that's completed for a big first down up the middle. A couple plays later, he just drops back to pass, who gets the ball out to a guy on the left side who runs around the corner and up the sideline before finding himself in the end zone for a touchdown, extending this lead to 2 possessions. In the second quarter, things weren't going as smoothly as Allen Iverson got sacked for a fumble, and it was picked up by Oregon for a turnover. On the next drive, AI was looking to make up for that though. As he's scrambling out to his right, he makes another crazy pass by the sideline that is once again being caught by his receiver all the way downfield in plus territory. AI would once again take the opportunity to scramble out again, this time finding enough space to get himself in the end zone for a touchdown to extend this lead for Maryland. Now in the second half, with Oregon failing to put up touchdowns, and this Allen Iverson-led offense continuing to move the ball, this game wasn't looking like a good one for Oregon, especially after AI escapes the pocket here, finds some space out to his left, and fights his way into the end zone for another touchdown to effectively end this game. Maryland would go on to win 31-23, while Allen had 242 passing yards and 4 touchdowns, along with 125 yards on the ground. And apparently it was a good enough game to start getting him some recognition for the Player of the Year award. But he didn't want to get too wrapped up in the awards quite yet, because he still had to finish this season out next up against Rutgers. We start this game off with an RPO, and the wide receiver gets out in open space to pick up a nice first down. Although they got down the field, this offensive line was still not doing their job, resulting in a sack and a field goal. AI didn't want the O-line to be a detriment to the team's success though, so he started taking shots earlier in the plays, and this one works out perfect as he connects with a receiver who takes it into the end zone for a touchdown to tie the game up. Now late in the second quarter, AI was continuing to produce Heisman moments, finding a guy downfield within goal-to-goal territory, and then on the very next play, he runs around the edge, takes it in himself to take the lead in this game. Now in the second half, Allen Iverson on this play is making one of the best throws of his career. as he connects with a receiver who brings the ball all the way down to the 10. And then a couple plays later, he takes the ball in himself for another touchdown to take a commanding lead in this game. It wasn't until the fourth quarter, where Rutgers was still fighting back, where Allen Iverson had to really put it away by getting into the end zone for his final touchdown of the day on this run, allowing Maryland to end this game as the winners, 34-20. Allen Iverson had over 233 yards passing and 4 touchdowns, and he had won Big Ten Player of the Week once again for that. And he was starting to get some real recognition as the potential favorite to win the Heisman, and his friends had actually asked him to come out to a party because of that. But when he got there, for some reason he wasn't let inside.
I ain't going my own party because somebody else came to it.
Listen, we gonna make it up to you when y'all get in there.
Make it up to us. We standing out in the damn car.
AI, this is the voice of God. You're getting punked.
I got punked.
The AI never thought that he would get punked, but it was all good because he was having fun. But he was going to do everything he could to make sure Iowa didn't have fun, as they were set to face off in another Big Ten matchup. With such a bad offensive line, AI was getting used to navigating the pocket and delivering dimes anyway. And when his receivers couldn't get open, he continued to find his way to use his legs for first down, oftentimes using them for touchdowns, kind of like what you see right here as he gets out to the edge and gets into the end zone for the first score of the game. He couldn't always avoid how bad this line was though, and it would often result in sacks. But he was great with finding mismatches all over the field, just like he finds one here and hits his receiver over the top, who runs all the way into the end zone for another touchdown in this game. With 25 seconds left, Allen Iverson is not looking to kneel the ball. He's running around the field trying to make a play and eventually finds a guy deep downfield open, bringing his team well within field goal range. Now in the second half, up by 10, AI was trying to continue to make plays, but on this play he throws a pick. Thankfully not returned for too much yardage, but Iowa would score a touchdown anyway. So Allen Iverson got right back to taking a shot downfield to his guy, and it is eventually brought in by the same mismatch he saw earlier, and the receiver brings it into the end zone to make it a 2-possession lead once again. With 1 minute left in this game, Maryland needed a first down to put it away. They weren't able to pick it up here on third down, but AI convinced the coach to let him go for it on fourth, and he eventually finds a man open over the middle who brings in a reception to put this game away officially. Maryland would end up escaping this game with a victory 27-24, but AI was upset because he didn't feel like he played good enough. He has to be faster and more ready to play against these better teams, because against the big dogs he'll get sacked more than he already is. So he's getting ready to deal with that as he faces off against another big dog, the number 14th ranked Penn State. And to start this game just like he thought, he is getting sacked. Luckily on third down, he's able to escape out the pocket, pick up some big yards, and eventually say hey, before sliding for a first down. AI knew he had to make something happen in the quick game because those cornerbacks were playing really well. And whenever he had the opportunity to, he would definitely take off and run. This time it resulted in a big touchdown to tie the game up at 7. In the second quarter though, AI realizes that maybe the cornerbacks aren't playing as well as he thought, because he's able to hit a receiver over the top, and he ran his way into the end zone for a touchdown to tie this game up now at 14. But with Penn State's defense continuing to get pressure, Maryland knew they had to find something to counter that. Eventually they called a screen to the running back, who found a way to just barely pick up the first down. And after getting down to the goal line, it was as simple as just handing the ball off to the running back, who brought it into the end zone to finally take the lead in this game. Now in the fourth quarter with the lead, Maryland has the chance to put this game away. And Allen Iverson takes that chance as he connects with his receiver deep downfield into plus territory on a drive that ended in a field goal. And now with their final possession, Maryland could really put this game away. So Allen Iverson runs to the sideline and flips the ball back into the field of play, where a receiver catches it for a touchdown, officially ending this game. Maryland would go on to win 31-17 in a game where Allen Iverson threw for 190 yards and 3 touchdowns. Somehow though, that actually dropped Allen in the Heisman race, and he knew the only way to get back in was to close out the season with a huge game. So he made sure to upgrade his abilities and lock in for this Big Ten championship against the Ohio State Buckeyes. To start this game off, Allen took a chance to his receiver, and that chance looked like it was about to pay off, as he hauls it in and brings it all the way into the end zone for a touchdown for the first points of this game. But just like any other game, AI would be under constant pressure. Somehow though, he was able to withstand it at times and get the ball out for big first downs. On this first and goal, he got some nice blocks and ran around the left side, before finding a way to dive into the end zone for another touchdown on this game. And early on, this looked like it could be a blowout. But the next time Maryland touches the ball, somehow they have 14 points too. So this game is back to 0-0, and Allen Iverson has to get back to work. With under 2 minutes left, he stands in the pocket and then scrambles his way downfield before sliding inside the 5-yard line. A couple plays later, he takes it himself around the edge and finds a way to get back into the end zone for another touchdown to get the lead right back, and he couldn't believe that he was doing this against Ohio State. Throughout the entirety of this first half, Allen Iverson was mainly using his legs to pick up big gains. And it was working as he was continuously picking up big chunks of yardage, and eventually was able to get around the edge once again for another touchdown in this game. It looked like he was in a single-man shootout against Ohio State. Now back after half, tied at 28, AI was continuing to show his dominance by getting downfield and then jumping over a guy. What quarterback do you know is doing that? Unfortunately, that drive would end up stalling out as he couldn't find anybody open, and now trailing in this game, he was still getting sacked. And it felt like a roller coaster of emotion because after having a bad play, he could go right out there and have a good one. Kind of like what you're seeing right here as he gets sacked once again. AI realizes that there's no way they can win this game unless he finds the time to make a play. Luckily here on first down though, he finds a guy across the middle who takes it up the right side into the end zone for a touchdown to tie this game up. And now after Ohio State takes a knee on the ball and goes out there in overtime and only scores 3, Maryland is set up with an opportunity to get down the field and score a touchdown to cap off a perfect undefeated regular season. And AI already told himself that if anybody's going to get it done, it's going to have to be him. He continued to make the little plays to inch his team closer and closer to the goal line. Until right here on 2nd and goal, AI drops back to pass and is able to get the ball out to a running back who scores a touchdown, ending this game and allowing Maryland to win their first Big Ten championship. They got the job done 41-38, while AI had 253 yards passing and 6 touchdowns. Not to mention he had 215 yards on the ground. And like I said, this is their first Big Ten championship in school history, so this is a big game to have that kind of performance. On top of that, Iverson earned his first National Player of the Week all season. But now that the regular season has come to a close, turns out that Maryland's head coach won Coach of the Year, along with the offensive coordinator won Offensive Coordinator of the Year. Unfortunately though, Will Howard, the guy that Allen Iverson just beat, would go on to win the Heisman. But somehow Allen Iverson would go on to win First Team All-Big Ten and First Team All-American. He couldn't be too upset though, as he would end up finishing in 2nd. But now the undefeated Maryland Terps got a bye week, and they know that either way they're about to face off against the monster. So AI continued to put that work in because he knew the job wasn't finished. And he knew that he and his team were going to have to come out with their A game because they were about to get ready to face off against Alabama. Almost immediately, Allen Iverson knew that he was playing against some big dogs. Getting sacked multiple times in the first drive, even almost getting sacked all the way back for a safety. Throughout this first quarter, Allen had no time, so he would often have to create the time for himself and pick up a first down with his legs. But that was almost impossible to do when the defense already has 3 sacks. And I guess you might as well make it 4 as AI is sacked again, this time for a fumble, where Alabama picks it up and returns it to the goal line. On top of that, AI had came out on the next drive and thrown a pick. That was only returned for a little bit of yardage, but still, Alabama scored a touchdown. And now down by 14, AI was desperate to make something happen, but he could barely find anything downfield. In the second quarter, he started to pick it up as he was taking advantage of the open lanes, and he started to really focus on checking down underneath because the pressure felt like it was increasing. He got sacked yet again, but at least this time it ended in 3 points. And now down by 18 right before half, he figures he might as well take a shot, and it's caught. The receiver streaks all the way down the field into the end zone for a touchdown right before half. And it's too bad Maryland's defense is not playing as well as Alabama's. Because now that they're down 18 points again, every possession from here on out really matters. But yet again, we have another one ending abruptly. By the fourth quarter, Maryland is down by 25 points, and Allen Iverson is out there sacrificing his body to pick up yardage. Unfortunately, his receivers have no will to fight for the footballs, and a linebacker just picks this ball off right here, deep in Maryland territory. AI was trying his best to get his team back downfield, potentially to get his team back in the game. He finally got his team all the way back to the red zone, where on 3rd and 17, he goes out there and throws a wide open touchdown, but Alabama took all the remaining clock, and that would end up being the season. Maryland would lose this game 42-17, and was forced to watch as Alabama ruined their perfect season. Now, Allen Iverson did not have a great game by any stretch of the imagination, but there wasn't really much he could do. But as far as his season stats, he played incredible, especially for a freshman. He went for over 3,700 yards passing with 31 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. Not to mention he was one of the top rushers in the league with over 1,200 yards and 21 touchdowns, bringing his totals to almost 5,000 yards and 50 total touchdowns. Plus, somehow he broke the passing and rushing touchdown record for a single season in Maryland history. But when he looked around the locker room, he started to realize that he really had no chance to win a championship with this team. He knew he had one of the worst offensive lines in the country, and he felt like he could be a key piece to a better team. So Allen Iverson decided to enter the transfer portal, where he had earned back a lot of starting opportunities at better colleges. So if you want to see more Allen Iverson, be sure to hit the like button down below and subscribe to the channel, along with commenting down below what school you want him to go to. Also be sure to comment who else you guys want to see next. If you got to this point in the video, just know that I appreciate you more than you'll ever know. I hope all of your college football and NFL teams win this weekend, and other than that, I'm going to catch you guys next time.